The world is entering a new age of deterrence, one defined not by brute numbers of warheads, but by precision, speed, and technological supremacy. In the middle of this transformation stands the United States, now undergoing the most ambitious overhaul of its ballistic missile and nuclear systems since the height of the Cold War. To Washington, it is a necessary modernization, a replacement for aging systems built half a century ago. But to many nations around the world, including Venezuela, it looks like a terrifying leap toward a new, more unpredictable form of military dominance. When U.S. Strategic Command announced in 2025 that the modernization of the nuclear triad was accelerating, it signaled the beginning of a profound shift. The triad, composed of land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and long-range bombers, has been the backbone of America's strategic defense for decades. Yet the missiles that form its foundation, the Minuteman III series, have been in service since the 1970s. Aging hardware, outdated digital systems, and maintenance difficulties made their replacement inevitable. Their successor, the LGM-35A Sentinel, represents a new era. Built by Northrop Grumman and designed for adaptability, the Sentinel integrates advanced cybersecurity, modular architecture, and compatibility with future upgrades that may include artificial intelligence-based targeting and autonomous launch verification. It is, as the Air Force describes it, a missile system for the next 50 years. The United States has already begun transforming its underground launch silos, once controlled by rotary dial telephones and analog panels, into digital command centers capable of surviving cyber warfare. The cost of the program is staggering. Estimates range between $80 and $100 billion for the missiles alone, and more than $1 trillion for the complete triad overhaul, which includes new submarines and stealth bombers. Still, the Pentagon insists it is an unavoidable investment. In an official statement, General Anthony Cotton, commander of U.S. Strategic Command, said, "Modernization is not a choice. It's a responsibility. Our deterrent must remain credible, safe, and effective in the face of evolving threats." Those evolving threats include not only Russia's new generation of ICBMs, like the Sarmat, but also China's expanding nuclear arsenal and its development of hypersonic glide vehicles that can evade conventional missile defense systems. In this context, America's upgrades are part of a broader global race for strategic superiority. But the impact of these developments reaches far beyond the laboratories and silos of the superpowers. They ripple across the world, unsettling regions that fear becoming collateral in another arms race. One of those regions is Latin America, where Venezuela has been especially vocal about U.S. military actions. For decades, Caracas has accused Washington of interference, both political and military. The latest round of U.S. missile modernization has reignited those fears. Venezuelan state television and official newspapers have characterized the new missile programs as a demonstration of imperial aggression and a warning to nations that resist U.S. control. While such statements are consistent with the Maduro government's anti-Western rhetoric, they also reflect a genuine unease about Washington's growing technological edge in warfare. In early 2025, after news broke of a successful U.S. hypersonic test, part of the Army and Navy's joint long-range hypersonic weapon project, Venezuelan Foreign Ministry officials called for restraint and international transparency. They argued that such advancements could destabilize global security by reducing response times and increasing the risk of preemptive conflict. In other words, when missiles can cross continents in minutes, diplomacy might not have time to intervene. This concern is not unique to Venezuela. Even U.S. allies in Europe and Asia have expressed apprehension over the speed with which hypersonic weapons and advanced nuclear systems are changing the rules of deterrence. But for Venezuela, a nation already burdened by economic sanctions and strained relations with Washington, the modernization program is more than just distant news. It feels like a direct reminder of power imbalance. Caracas, historically aligned with Moscow, has relied heavily on Russian military equipment and strategic partnership. Reports in 2024 suggested that Venezuela had been consulting Russian defense advisors to strengthen its air defense network and radar systems, citing fears of foreign incursions. Whether those fears are realistic or rhetorical, the underlying anxiety is unmistakable. The image of a technologically upgraded U.S. nuclear arsenal, capable of launching precise, unstoppable strikes, reinforces the sense of vulnerability within the Venezuelan leadership. To Washington, however, modernization is about deterrence, not aggression. The logic of deterrence, that overwhelming retaliatory capability prevents war, remains central to U.S. strategy. By ensuring its missiles remain functional, secure, and modern, America aims to discourage adversaries from ever testing its resolve. Yet deterrence is a fragile concept, relying not only on hardware but also on perception. When smaller nations see the world's most powerful military unveiling faster, stealthier, deadlier weapons, they do not see safety, they see escalation. The U.S. Government Accountability Office, GAO, underscored in a 2025 report that while modernization efforts are progressing, the Pentagon still faces challenges in digital integration and software development for the Sentinel program. It warned that delays or cost overruns could threaten readiness if not properly managed. Despite those issues, the direction is clear. The U.S. intends to maintain a technological lead that no rival can close easily. Yet the problem with modernization is its inherent paradox. The stronger one nation becomes in the name of defense, the more others feel compelled to respond. Russia, China, and even regional powers are investing heavily in their own missile and defense systems, triggering what some analysts have called the invisible arms race, one fought not through public declarations, but through research labs, private contractors, and classified budgets. In Caracas, these developments fuel both propaganda and paranoia. Venezuela's government-controlled media frequently references the Cuban Missile Crisis as a cautionary tale, a time when the region almost became ground zero for a global nuclear conflict. The modernization of U.S. missiles rekindles those historical memories, evoking fears that Latin America could once again become a stage for power confrontation. Even though Washington's new systems are not aimed at Venezuela, perception often matters more than intention. Experts argue that such fears are amplified by isolation. Venezuela's fragile economy, ongoing political tensions, and reliance on foreign allies make it especially sensitive to shifts in global military balance. For countries under sanctions and constant scrutiny, any sign of U.S. military advancement feels like a direct warning, explains Dr. Carla Mendoza, a Latin American security analyst based in Santiago. Even if those systems are not positioned nearby, the symbolism is powerful. It says, we can reach anywhere, anytime. Meanwhile, within the United States, debates continue over whether modernization risks fueling global instability. Critics argue that instead of promoting peace, the development of new-generation nuclear weapons encourages other nations to follow suit. Advocates counter that failing to modernize would invite aggression and weaken deterrence, especially as adversaries develop their own advanced systems. Both perspectives carry truth, and both underscore the uncertainty of the new nuclear era. By late 2025, several milestones had been achieved: prototype tests for the Sentinel's guidance systems, infrastructure upgrades in missile bases across Montana and Wyoming, and successful long-range hypersonic flights over the Pacific. Officially, the Pentagon maintains transparency about these tests, describing them as routine and defensive. Unofficially, foreign governments see them as signs of renewed U.S. assertiveness. For countries like Venezuela, already distrustful of American intentions, these developments deepen existing fears. The irony is that America's modernization, while designed to prevent war, also reminds the world of the very power that once brought humanity to the brink of destruction. The sleek digital consoles replacing Cold War-era control rooms may represent progress, but they also symbolize continuity, the persistence of nuclear logic in a world that claims to desire peace. The more sophisticated these systems become, the more fragile global stability seems, balanced on a trigger that travels at hypersonic speed. In Caracas, officials continue to denounce what they call the militarization of the hemisphere. Yet behind closed doors, Venezuela's own generals are quietly analyzing the same modernization data, studying missile trajectories, and reassessing their limited defense capabilities. The fear may be political theater on the surface, but it is also strategic awareness underneath. The world is changing fast, and for nations without comparable power, awareness is its own form of survival. Ultimately, the U.S. ballistic missile upgrade is not just an American story, it is a global one. It illustrates how security and insecurity are two sides of the same coin, how the pursuit of protection by one state can inspire fear in another. For the United States, modernization is an obligation to preserve deterrence. For Venezuela, it is a reminder of vulnerability. And for the rest of the world, it is a warning that the arms race never truly ended. It simply evolved. As the Sentinel prepares to take its place in America's arsenal and hypersonic tests push the limits of speed and precision, one truth remains unchanged. Every technological leap in warfare reshapes the psychological map of global power. In 2025, that map is being redrawn in real time, from the silos of the American Midwest to the streets of Caracas, where the echo of missile tests half a world away reverberates as a distant but undeniable fear.